Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are going to be talking episode 4 of the L Word Generation Q season 2, and we're going to be going over some Easter eggs, callbacks, whatever you want to call it, to the OG show, the L Word. And I'm going to be pointing out to you all the references that are in this episode, and I will also be showing clips. I have to do it this way with, unfortunately, me in the video so that I break it up and I don't get copyright claimed. So we're going to go through each of the moments, explain what it's referencing, and also just thoughts on them bringing up certain storylines, etc. in Generation Q. So let's get right into our first reference, and that was in the beginning when Shane, Alice, and Bette are having breakfast at Bette's house, and Alice has broken up with Nat. She's kind of commiserating with them, and she reveals that she has to go and basically kick her mom out of her house because, as we know from last season, which I'm loving all this, actually, things that were put way, and I think it was in the first episode, she says that her mom's living in her house and bringing it back here in season 2. So Alice, of course, is saying, oh, I have to go tell my mom, she has to move out. And like in the OG, anytime that Lenore was brought up, Shane very quickly offers, I'll go and talk to Lenore for you.
And now I have to go tell my mother to get out of my house, and she's not going to take that well.
Well, I can talk to Lenore for you if you like. It's very generous.
We're very aware of that. Thank you, Shane.
Pancake or what?
My favorite bit of this scene was actually what Bette said, and when she was like, oh, that's very generous of you to Shane, I thought it was so funny. And I just thought that this was exactly what we knew Shane was like all the way back to the first season of the original L Word, when we find out that Lenore and Shane have had a little makeout session and Lenore added herself to the chart.
Do you know how much that espresso maker costs?
I thought this was so great the way they did it, because it's exactly like what used to happen in the original when Lenore was brought up.
I understand the purpose of your chart. That's why I wrote my name right there off of Shane.
You can't be on the chart for talking.
Won't you listen to my story?
And then later we do actually see Lenore as well, and no time has passed. She's still her usual self, and lightly putting Alice down.
Nat and I broke up.
Oh, sweetie.
It ran its course, so it's probably better this way.
Is that why you look so terrible?
That feels unnecessary.
Alice, as we know, is very used to it, so I loved seeing Anne Archer back here.
You are looking at Swan's Breath Cosmetics Platinum salesperson.
Fuck me.
Now, I invested a lot of my own capital.
I love the Shane and Lenore references, and I just love that trio scene at the beginning. It was brilliant. This one just slipped while I was recording and I forgot to mention it. It was probably one of the biggest ones of the episode, and that was Alice mentioning Dana and Dana being taken from her. So that was a really, really big scene, and I was so glad to see Alice addressing it.
Chapter we haven't circled back on was the Dana one.
I gave it to you.
Yeah, it's light. You could dig deeper.
I'm happy with it the way it is, yeah.
And it was done so well, with Leisha Haley absolutely crushing it. So really enjoyed that scene, even though it was very sad.
And I miss her so much sometimes, but there's nothing I can do about it because she's gone. And I do not want to dwell on the fact she was taken from me and robbed of a life.
So we go a little bit further down the episode, and we have Shane and Angie having a very deep discussion. And there's 2 kind of Easter eggs in this scene, and Shane mentions her dad.
We made it. Of course we made it.
Oh my God.
Gabriel McCutcheon, my wife Carla.
Hi. Hi. Very good to meet you.
And tells the story of meeting him.
I tracked him down, and I realized I didn't like the guy.
And as we know, we saw it in the original when Shane's dad came onto the show in season 3, played by Eric Roberts, who I'm sure most people know is Julia Roberts' brother and also the father of Emma Roberts. So it was a good callback and, you know, talking about things that we actually saw take place on the original.
Why? He reinforced the worst parts that were in me.
And then the second kind of Easter egg in this scene is Shane saying, meeting my dad and, you know, having him in my life led me to leave someone at the altar.
I made a very poor decision because of that.
What did you do?
I left someone that I loved very much at the altar. Sometimes I think I would have been a lot better off had I never met the guy.
I've just been in touch with Shane McCutcheon.
She doesn't expect you to forgive her. She's not proud of this. It's just who she is.
And although we don't actually get Carmen's name in this scene, we do get Shane saying, it was someone I love very much.
In hopes that you might forgive her someday and maybe even understand.
And I left them at the altar. So again, something that we saw in the original, something we know affected Shane a lot. And I'm really glad to see this here because one, I love Carmen. I really wish she was on the show. And it's just nice to get like a little bit of a closure and even just that reference back, because when everything happened in season 3, and season 3 just in itself was, you know, it was season 3. We all know, we were all there. We all saw what happened. And Carmen was never ever mentioned again. I mean, we saw her on that tape in season 6, and again, season 6. I mean, you all know, you were there again, unfortunately. So, see, like the season finale just was problematic for so many reasons, but the Carmen appearance was probably one of the like high points. But it was just a video, like there was no clarification, anything. The only thing that happened after Shane left Carmen at the altar was in the season 4 first episode. Shane like goes to Carmen's mother's house and her cousins are there and like, you know, kind of hassle Shane and you know, push her around. So that was it. We never, nothing else happened. So I'm really glad that we got this reference because it was such a big thing in Shane's life and it was such a huge part of the show. So I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a great scene too. And Kate Manning doesn't always get these big, juicy monologues. So it was really nice to see her showcasing some of her talent, as she is very talented. So I really enjoyed that scene, and Jordan Hall as well was brilliant. So a really, really nice scene, and enjoyed the dad, the Carmen reference, everything. So this reference is kind of going on throughout a couple of episodes, and that is Angie talking about her donor.
Right?
And then we'll go to the cryobank.
And again, this is a character that we know from the original show. We met him in the first season when Tina goes to the cryobank and everything. And I love how they're picking up these little threads from the original show and bringing them on to Gen Q. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing and hearing a lot more about Marcus and about Kayla. So I'm definitely here to learn more about everything going on with them. And our final OG reference in this episode is when Bette is meeting Pippa Pascal for the first time. And there's a few things she says that obviously reference back to the original show. She talks about the CAC.
And your work should be back in spaces that would give it the platform that it deserves. Places like the CAC where people can be reminded of how much you love.
And as we all know, Bette, when we met her in the original show, was working at the CAC.
Director of this museum involves more than merely pulling collections out of hats. It involves image, it involves relationships.
And she worked there for the beginning seasons of the show. And she also talks about when she was at Yale.
I saw your senior thesis when I was an undergraduate at Yale. It changed me on a cellular level and a practical one. I switched my majors from comparative literature to art history.
And as we know, we've had some callbacks to Yale before. And we even saw Bette at Yale in the original show in season 3 when they were doing those cold opens.
Jesus, Bette.
Isn't it beautiful? Forget it's a body. Danica Palmer says Mapplethorpe isn't even into the process of photography.
Professor Palmer to you.
Where they would always, each episode, link to each other, the person in the previous episode, and at the end of the season, it all made sense that they all led to the season finale. And we did see Bette at Yale. They had that Flashdance sweatshirt on her, and it was a Jennifer Beals lookalike that they had Jennifer Beals dub the voice over the top of the young actress. So I always like to know more backstory about the characters, and this was just, again, tying in things that we know about Bette's character. And I always enjoy little nuggets like this, because I think the things with like the CAC and Yale and even the stuff with Shane, if you hadn't watched the original show, you wouldn't even really, like, you're not going to be so confused by these references that you don't even know what's going on. But for fans who have watched the original show and are now watching Gen Q, it just is a really nice little moment, and I really appreciate all these little details that they put into the show, and it just is, again, strengthening the connection between the two and, you know, us fans who love both iterations of the show. So let me know what your favorite callback was in this episode down in the comment section. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any exclusive content or videos being posted. Also, don't forget to follow me on all of the social media platforms so you can stay up to date with everything L Word in between my videos. I also have a podcast with the ladies from the L Word Online, and we release episodes every Sunday after the show has aired. So you can follow us on Apple, Spotify, and the podcast is called Drinks at Dana's. Also, don't forget that I have a Patreon and an L Word merch store. If you want to check those out, they're in the description box down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.